appreciate you taking some time on your Monday evening in December here. So just give it a minute. Ray's got some documents. He's ready to go. All right.
Whoops.
I'll get started at 2 after and do the slow intro, just as I know folks are hopping on. I think we had over 20 people registered, not that we expect everybody that registered to show up, but it's like we've got a pretty good crew here. All right. 7:02, I'll go ahead and get it going. Again, my name is Ben Hoyne. I am the Virginia Program Director with Solar United Neighbors. Really appreciate you all taking the time to join us this evening. I'm joined by my colleagues, Aaron Such, who's the former Virginia Program Director and now is the Atlantic Southeast Regional Director, pretty much Maryland, down the East Coast, all the way to Florida and into Puerto Rico, which is exciting. And then Alexis Miller is our Engagement Specialist Director. She's got a fancy title. I can't remember what it is, but we're thrilled to have her as part of the team. And Liz Veazey is one of our policy associates, and I think might be hopping on here at some point. But kind of the purpose of the meeting this evening, and we'll kind of dive into the meat and potatoes of it, but really to discuss solar permitting issues, residential solar permitting issues in Prince William County. It's been a challenge we've been working on for many years. First, maybe we'll just go around and do some introductions real quick, let folks that are on the call introduce themselves. And I guess, 2 quick questions, identify who you are, where you're calling from, that sort of thing. But if you work at Prince William County or affiliated with the Board of Supervisors of Prince William County, that would be great to know. And then additionally, if you yourself have had permitting challenges or permitting experience, solar permitting experience in Prince William, whether as a homeowner or as a business, that would be great. So I'll kick it off at the top of my screen. I'll just call on folks, and that would do it. We have a Ray. Please unmute yourself and give us a quick introduction.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Ray Savage. I'm the owner of Cavhu Solar. We're a solar installer, and we have done nine installations in Prince William County, which sounds like a massive amount, which probably is for residential. Every single one of them has been an absolute nightmare. If I had to only focus on Prince William County, I would be bankrupt. I do it as a favor. I live in Prince William County, and Aaron knows, don't get me started. I won't stop here, but every single job takes at least 4 months to get through permitting, and the fees and such, and the aggravation is just deplorable. Digital bookmarks not where they're supposed to be. Ugh. Okay, that's me.
All right, thanks, Ray, and we'll certainly come back to all that. So, Alan, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alan Rush. I'm a homeowner in Prince William County, and I have had, as Aaron knows, I've had challenges again getting permitted. It took more than 4 months for me, and it was over some silly things. I think we have a metal standing roof, and they wanted they wanted to have some sort of peer-reviewed study done on the fasteners that we use. But anyway, so I'm like Ray. Don't get me started. Thanks.
Hey,
Thanks,
good to see you, Alan. It's been a while.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay.
Mark, please go ahead.
Hello, I'm Mark Kennedy. I live in Prince William County, also in Montclair, and I have solar. It did take a little while for me to get my permit, but I had no basis of comparison to know if it took an inordinate amount of time or if that was an appropriate amount of time. But I had other problems with my solar company that I won't get into here. But as far as dealing with the county for permitting and stuff like that, the installer did that, so it was kind of transparent to me. I did have some difficulty with Prince William County getting the tax credit, the real estate tax credit. That was something that paperwork was lost. I had to reapply for that multiple times. But if you live in the county, you don't know about that, there is a tax credit for home-based solar or rooftop solar or wherever you may have it on your property.
Great, thanks. Levon, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Simpson?
Yeah, it's Legon. I'm a homeowner in Prince William County, from Manassas specifically. I have solar. My permitting process went very smoothly through with my installer, and I was able to engage in the county to push through a few minor issues, but my process has been extremely positive. And Prince William County has been very good for me, so.
Great. Eric, please go ahead.
Sorry about the video there. I'm Eric Onstead. I live in Haymarket. The first solar company, Ipsen, decided they weren't going to do any more business because of the problem. They were having problems with the permitting and then canceled. So then I've been going with Ray at Cavu Solar. I still don't have a permit. I started this about a year ago and I'm still waiting.
All right, well, that's why we're here. Adam, please go ahead.
Hey everybody, my name is Adam Hamby. I work for Supervisor Bodie, who's here in the chat tonight. We're here with Prince William County, specifically the Occoquan Magisterial District. And Supervisor Bodie will tell you solar permitting is something that I've been talking about specifically. So I'm excited to listen in, but I will save the rest for him.
Great, thanks for coming. Twyla.
Hey everybody, it's Twyla. I'm in Dumfries. I started the process, I think, with Complete Solar back in, I want to say July or August, and we're still waiting on the permitting sorts of things. So,
All right, thanks for joining. Aaron Berryhill.
Hey everybody, my name is Aaron Berryhill. I serve as the solar program manager at Virginia Department of Energy. I live down in Richmond. My job is really to serve as a resource and, provide a number of programs for localities. I do a fair amount on utility scale solar, but also on the residential permitting. We offer the SolSmart program. I'm also trying to support adoption of Solar App Plus across the state. And so really just kind of want to listen in and see how I can help. I shared some kind of preliminary numbers with Aaron and Ben the other day. I did some kind of research. Our agency gets data from the State Corporation Commission on net metered solar installations by zip code. And so I did a little bit of digging to see where Prince William ranked. And so for all localities with a population over 100,000, Prince William has the lowest per capita number of solar installations. And that compares to some much more urbanly densely populated cities like Norfolk, Richmond, that have much less single family homes. Even they have higher rates of solar installation. So still kind of preliminary data. I'm trying to find a way that I can make that a little bit more public and trustworthy, but kind of initial data that I've looked at seems to suggest for comparably sized localities, Prince William is the lowest on a per capita solar installation basis.
Great, thanks for joining, Aaron. Appreciate you taking the time. Supervisor Bodie, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Supervisor Kenny Bodie. I represent, as Adam said, the Occoquan Magisterial District of the Prince William County Board of Supervisors. For folks that don't know where that is, that's the Lake Ridge area. So Lake Ridge, Occoquan area, also the area on Potomac Mills. And my district actually goes along the north side of the Parkway and Hoadley Road out to 234. So bigger district, but happy to be here. I'm here because I have constituents who sort of run the gambit of what everyone said so far. I've had some constituents sort of call in and say, hey, it's been harder than heck for me to get permitting through for solar. Other folks have had a smooth time, but just permitting for other things, even just for my office to do small scale events, as Adam will tell you, has been a bear. And as me, an elected official who helps sort of guide the county having issues with permitting, I can only imagine a layman trying to get through the solar permitting process. So I'm here to listen and learn, and then hopefully to work with you all to see what we can do. No promises, of course, because I'm just one of 8. But what we can do about making things easier, because I'm a big believer in solar, big believer that folks should be able to do things with their property, especially if it increases their energy efficiency. So I definitely want to be a helping hand as we move through this process. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening. And I'll just note, I'm really glad to know I might not be the only person whose daughter is dressed as a superhero running around. So glad to be in solidarity with you, Mark. So anyways, William, please introduce yourself.
Hey, sure. Yep. Will Rollison. I'm a homeowner. I'm out in the Broad Run Oak subdivision area out in Prince William County. I just started the process only about a month ago, but my understanding is now that we're with the whole permitting process as well. So yeah, I got the invite, thought it might be interested. Want to jump on, listen, hear more. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. And Tiziana, please go ahead.
Hi, sorry, I'm actually, apologies that I'm like moving around, so it's gonna be noisy, but my name is Tiziana Bottino. I'm an Occoquan resident of the Occoquan district. Really glad that my supervisor is here. I've just been advocating for climate action in the county for the last few years. And I currently work for Sierra Club, so I'm doing more statewide work, but I'm still happy to help to support this stuff.
Great, appreciate you joining us. And I'll just note that Liz Veazey, again, policy staff with Solar United Neighbors, has hopped on, and she'll be running through some things a bit later in the meeting. But for now, I will turn it over to Aaron Such. Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. And what I'd like to do is give a little bit of an overview of our history with the permitting issues in Prince William County, talk a little bit about the process itself, and then just go over some of the specific issues and why that's important. So as of about a month ago, I was happy to give the reign over to Ben Hoyne as our Virginia program director, but that's how I started with Solar United Neighbors in 2014 as Virginia program director. And if you're not familiar with our work, we do a lot of bulk purchase projects, solar co-ops. Sun has installed over 1,200, I believe last count, 1,218 residential solar installations in Virginia. This is more than any nonprofit, and actually across the nation, we're about 8,000 residential solar installations. And I can't think of any other nonprofit that has done more solar installations nationally than we have, and I can confirm that we've done the most solar installations of any nonprofit in Virginia. And so we've worked literally from Abingdon, Virginia in the Southwest to Arlington, from Winchester in the Valley all the way to Virginia Beach. And unfortunately, Prince William County is the worst permitting jurisdiction by a long shot that we've had to deal with. And we have basically fielded a lot of complaints from homeowners and installers. But the process itself, and I'll go into some of the details, when somebody does I know enough to be dangerous, but when somebody puts solar on their roof, there's a process. And the process is, depending on the jurisdiction, requiring a structural permit. So if it's a roof mounted system, that structural permit that is done through the local jurisdiction makes sure that the panels are mounted safely, that they're using industry standard equipment, mounting, and best practices. And that is approved by the local permitting jurisdiction, in this case, Prince William County. There's also an electrical permit as well, which requires that the electrical wiring, the grounding is safe. So that's part of the process. Usually it's less than 30 to 60 days for a normal permit to be pulled. But in Prince William County, literally since 2014, 2015, when I worked, Prince William County has had the reputation of being just the most challenging in terms of delays to deal with. And I'll go into some of the issues, but this is important because more than 50% of the cost of a residential solar installation is in non-component costs, what are called soft costs. So that means customer acquisition, it means labor, but more importantly, it means for a small business like a solar contractor to work through the permitting process. And we work with dozens of solar installation contractors, and they're small businesses. They work on very small margins. I'm sure Ray would chime in and give you some information regarding that. But every time they have to pull a permit, that's labor that they have to spend, it's time. And so it is a major cost to the installation or major cost to the consumer. And what we've observed in Prince William County is that the permitting process is about 2 to 3 times more expensive than other permitting jurisdictions, and permits actually take about twice as long, if not more, on average. So what happens, and the result of this, is that Prince William County residents are essentially imposed a solar tax, because as small businesses, they do have to, contractors have to pass on that cost to the clients. And then additionally, as of recently, we've seen a number of national installers, as well as very well-known regional installers, will refuse to work in Prince William County. So Prince William County homeowners that want to go solar are basically imposed up to about a 20% surcharge to cover that permitting process. And then they don't have as many choice in contractors. The issues tend to be just kind of running the gamut, but what we've seen is just requiring repetitive, redundant information that has little to do with safety. So I've been on many calls, many emails with Mr. Rush, with Mr. Onstad, where the Prince William County officials are requiring minutia detail, or they're kicking back a permit because it's not based on any structural or design flaw, but because it was bookmarked incorrectly. Every time that happens, the installer pays a $97.10 resubmission fee. And so the average cost, according to industry estimates, for a permit, for a structural permit, is anywhere between $200 to $300. We have seen residential permits in Prince William County over $1,300. So it's just a tremendous cost. The other issue as I go through them is just onerous, again, resubmissions that really have nothing to do with safety. In Prince William County, that's the only jurisdiction that we've worked with. Yeah, Ray's holding up a corrections report, the dreaded corrections report, is the only jurisdiction in Virginia that requires a soil sample for a ground mount. And what that means is the contractor has to go out and hire a specialist at cost to the contractor. No other county requires that. I've seen in the case of, well, I don't know if I should mention, but new builds that were built within the last year, a permit being kicked back because the wood wasn't the right type of wood. And then additionally, the main thing is that the permitting county, the permitting jurisdiction doesn't trust industry standards on components that are standardized across the US. So as a result, you have a really bloated bureaucratic system. And this is something that we've been dealing with for a long time. I'll just give you a brief history. This came to a head in 2020 when the Industry Association, which was then known as MDVCIA, the Maryland District, Virginia Solar Energy Industry Association, addressed the permitting department with a letter and basically explained some of the complaints that they were having, what I outlined. They were not met with the courtesy of a response. Instead, we had to elevate it to the Board of Supervisors, and it was luckily Supervisor Yesley Vega, which brought the attention to a gentleman named Wade Hugh, who works for the permitting jurisdiction. After that, we engaged as an industry and as advocates in numerous stakeholder processes that were done through like an online, like a Zoom format, which was a type of training. And they held very, when I say they, the permitting jurisdiction held very closely to the fact that this was just an issue of new installers not knowing the training and the methodology or the way that Prince William County did things. And so there was a number of these meetings, which did result in some small differences, some small changes, online submissions as opposed to wet stamps. So before, people would have to, before COVID, have to turn in their their resubmissions by hand. So there was some small improvements, but unfortunately, and even in spite of the attentiveness of Mr. Hugh, there were issues that still persisted. Again, I would average about once every 2 weeks, a homeowner reaching out to me, and it was usually them saying, "What's wrong with my installer? They don't seem to be correctly pulling the permit." And I would have to explain, no, it's the challenges with the permitting jurisdiction with Prince William. And I would explain the challenges in, all of the minutia detail and the fact that many installers would no longer work there. And again, it reached a fever pitch when more and more homeowners reached out to us, and more installers just said, "We refuse to work in this county. It's just too much." And we continue to engage Mr. Hugh, and maybe Ben, you could talk a little bit about our interaction with Supervisor Wheeler. We continue to engage them. But again, what we found is that they would cherry pick data, and they would say, well, these 4 or 5 installers were able to get their permitting with very little issues. Meanwhile, for every 4 or 5 installers with no issues, there was 10 or 15 that were having major issues, permitting delays over a year, or just as many or a handful of installers that would refuse to work in the county. And, whatever side you want to believe, I want to just say that there is no benefit for an installer to pull out of a highly populated county like Prince William County. There is no benefit for Solar United Neighbors to, be spending a Monday night talking about these issues. So we wanted to have some win-win solutions and some progress towards that. And so out of this frustration, we've engaged Supervisor Ann Wheeler, the chair of the Prince William Board of Supervisors, and we have a number of people that are ready to directly engage, because honestly, enough is enough. It doesn't benefit anybody, and people are just really frustrated and tired of the process. So that's a little bit of our of our interaction. Just in summary, we've been dealing with these issues since 2014. In 2020, Solar United Neighbors engaged the permitting department and board of supervisors with some small cosmetic changes. But again, there has really been no substantial improvement. So this is really, and this is maybe a direct plea to Supervisor Bodie, that we're turning to the board of supervisors as well as some media outlets to elevate this story, because quite frankly, installers have no place to turn. Homeowners are frustrated. And I'll just add that I appreciate installers like Ray coming forward, because many will not come forward publicly because of fear of retribution. And I've seen it in other jurisdictions, and it works like this. It's like, you think you're having trouble with your permit right now, wait till you say something, because then we're going to make your life really, really tough. So we're in this position to help and to try to move this process forward, look for win-wins. But Sun and the industry partners that we're working with are not going to stop until this process is fixed. So thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. And yeah, I agree. There's no benefit to any of us spending our time on this call if it wasn't absolutely necessary. So I do see that Jack just hopped on. Jack, we've just done quick introductions, who you are, where you're from, what your experience with solar permitting in Prince William County, if any, is.
Yeah, hey, from Cleveland here. I've been working with Ray on a lot of the formatting and just a lot of administrative stuff with CAVU Solar. Definitely we've noticed how it's just eats time and energy, and it's a really frustrating process. And yeah, so that's basically why I'm here, is to just kind of show an extra face to just kind of show kind of support towards all the solar companies that are having trouble with this, because it's eating like days of our time for with CAVU for sure.
Great, thanks for coming.
Yep.
Before we I imagine there's questions, and we'd like to have a conversation, especially with Supervisor Bodie and Adam and other folks from Prince William. But I did want to turn it over to Liz Veazey. the worst thing you can do is complain without a solution, right? So we're not going to do that. We have a solution, and I'm going to turn it over to Liz Veazey to talk about some of the Aaron's presented a lot of stories that we've encountered, and as Aaron Berryhill also presented some data. Liz has some other data available nationally, and then we'll talk about a solution we're looking forward to. So Liz, take it away.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, so I'm Liz Veazey, and I work on solar policy with Solar United Neighbors in Virginia and also Florida, DC, Maryland, and Puerto Rico. Been working for Sun for about 3 years and working on clean energy for about 20 years. And nationally, Sun runs programs in about 13 states and territories that run solar co-ops, help people go solar. And then we also work on solar policy. And so out of hundreds of these solar co-ops that we've run across all of these states, it's really rare for us to see a county where there are multiple solar installers that have stopped working in the area due to the permitting problems. So just wanted to highlight that that is like a pretty unique thing. This is not something that happens all the time. So really something that we want to help fix in Prince William County. I was going to share a couple images. I did some research with Solar Trace, which is a new National Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL, resource that allows comparisons of permitting costs across jurisdictions. So this shows Prince William County in orange, and then some of the other bordering counties in other colors. And you can see this is solar permitting times over the last 4 years for small below 10 kilowatt systems. And you can see that Prince William County is the longest each year. It sounds like not a surprise to almost everyone here. Let's see. Okay. My computer has decided it's not super responsive, but I will also try to share in the chat a link to Solar Trace, and people can go and check it out. But it's a great resource for looking at permitting and comparisons. Oh, why is my computer not?
Peter's probably had a long day.
It's had a long day and it's not super responsive. It may or may not show the other images. But anyways, I just wanted to share a couple. So that's doesn't really matter. And then I was just going to say that, yeah, I mean, I think overall people have already highlighted that Prince William County is pretty unique in terms of the challenges and time consuming and expensive solar permitting. And so, as Ben mentioned, we're really excited about Solar App Plus, which is free software developed by the National Renewable Energy Lab, or NREL. And Aaron mentioned it earlier that he's working on it at the state level. But so it's a great free tool for jurisdictions. It really helps streamline permitting. And NREL developed that tool with RMI and a bunch of other stakeholders. And I think dozens, if not more, of municipalities, jurisdictions across the country have already committed to use Solar App Plus, and a number are already using it. So we're excited about that as, a really good free resource to potentially help streamline and speed up permitting. But I think I can stop there. I think my computer is still not going to show any more images, but that's okay.
That's fine. Are you able to stop sharing? I'll try to. I have, I think, one of the other ones.
Oh yeah, I could potentially stop and restart and it might work.
Oh, I've got it. Are folks seeing?
Oh, okay. Yep, there you go. Thanks.
So just to kind of dovetail into what Liz is talking about. This is the data also from Solar Trace that highlights the permitting costs. And you can see, first category is Sol Smart awardee. Aaron Berryhill was talking about that. And as he's working on that, and Prince William County has not, according to this, adopted a Sol Smart. Most importantly, I want to direct your attention to the median permit cost, which is the number about 6 rows or 6 columns to the right. And for folks on the phone, I'll just call it out real quick. The median permit cost in Arlington is $103. Fairfax, it's actually free. We're not looking for that. We've heard why that's free. There would need to be a budget allocation, significant budget allocation from Prince William County to make that happen. But anyways, Arlington is $100. Loudoun is $200, and Stafford is $180. Prince William is this median permit cost. Prince William is $586. So your neighbors to the north and the south are between $100 and $200, and Prince William is at $586. And so I think that helps demonstrate one of the big challenges. As Aaron mentioned, we have been in touch with Chairwoman Ann Wheeler, of the Chairwoman of the Board of Supervisors for Prince William County. I've had a little bit.
Hey, Ben, sorry to
yes.
interrupt you, Ben. Could I add just a little color commentary on how that breaks down to the customer?
Yeah.
I wanted to, thanks. So Ben mentioned the cost, but I have a letter that was directed to the industry association. It was an account from an installer. So this is how that additional account pays out to the customer. This is me reading a letter. I'm not going to identify the installer. They're not on this call. And it starts with, we have not ceased operation in Prince William County. However, we do apply a 60-cent per watt adder to projects we bid there to compensate for the additional resources needed for permitting. Separately, our ground-mounted installation partner has decided to discontinue operations. So that's an example of how those added costs, basically $3 a watt is a conservative estimate. It's maybe a little bit less, but that's a 20% adder just for residents of Prince William County because permitting can't get their act together. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, and so I mean, $586 over $100 to $200 is, that's 25 to 30%, or almost 3 times as much in Prince William as it is. Again, it's not just Arlington or Fairfax, but it includes Loudoun, includes Stafford. And so certainly I would imagine localities that Prince William wants to compete with for residents and for business and for economic growth. So as I mentioned, we've engaged with Chairwoman Wheeler a little bit, and Wade Hugh, who's the head of the permitting office at Prince William County. The good news, they actually just emailed us today to say they've gotten today I think they're getting in kind of a webinar on the Solar App Plus. So maybe they're at least starting to consider it. But I think one of the purposes of kind of this call and the action of Solar United Neighbors is to begin to, really bang the drums a bit louder. Not just have one individual conversation with Chairwoman Wheeler. We're hoping maybe we could kind of resolve this issue without raising too big a ruckus. We, don't need to get egg on folks' face or anything like that. But I guess since we have Supervisor Bodie on the phone, what would you, I guess first, do you have any questions? And second, for you, Supervisor, what would be ways you would recommend that we amplify this issue, engage with the Board of Supervisors? Obviously, as an advocacy organization, we're well accustomed to letters to the editor and getting earned media, getting constituents to contact the board. But do you have suggestions for us on how to amplify this issue in an effective manner?
Sure. So I'll go in reverse order because you asked if I had questions, and I'll get to that last. What I would say first is different localities, as most of you well know, work differently and react to different levels and different kinds of pressure differently. In my time on the board, and in full transparency, I've been on the board since 2020, so about 3 years in now. What tends to raise eyebrows and get folks on both from the elected official side, but also the staff side, more of a sense of urgency is having folks both write emails to the board, but also show up to our Board of Supervisors meetings and speak during public comment time. We usually 2 or 3 Tuesdays out of every month, we have a supervisors meeting. There's usually at least one at 2 o'clock, but we also have some at 7:30. And we usually offer public comment time at both 2 o'clock and 7:30, both in person and virtually. And what tends to happen with sort of issues like these is if you only have maybe 1 or 2 people writing to the board every 4 or 5 months, is it just doesn't get the same kind of penetration as if you have 2 or 3 people every other board meeting showing up that are different people to say, hey, I have this issue, and it's taken, all of you that have shared stories about how long it's taken, those are perfectly fine. You get 3 minutes to talk, and most of you wrapped up your sort of concerns and how long it's taken you in a fraction of that time. So what I would say is writing to the board through email is good, but also showing up to our Board of Supervisors meetings to speak during public comment time is also pretty effective, because one, it sort of very publicly, but not necessarily in a shameful way, raises a concern that people have who are our constituents, and it causes it to be less, hey, we have individual people calling Wade Hughes' office or what have you, or supervisor's office. And it folks like the county executive sort of are listening to that kind of stuff, but it also gives us as supervisors, frankly, more public cover to really press more publicly and behind the scenes our county staff to really address it. Because what I will sort of close with before I get to my question is that, as was said earlier, Supervisor Vega did give a directive on this, and a few of us have given other sort of actions and questions and guidance to Wade Hughes staff over the past couple of years about this issue. But frankly, what keeps happening is he'll come back with a memo or an email or a call or something to our offices, which will either do exactly what you all talked about, where he'll say, oh, well, it was mostly an issue of educating the installers of how we're sort of unique as Prince William County, and we had these webinars and everything seems to be better now. Or it'll be, oh, well, hey, we're still working through the issues here. Please give us more time. Or frankly, more recently, it's been, oh, hey, this is all, sort of safety issues that we're doing our due diligence above and beyond other jurisdictions to make sure people are safe. And if you sort of couch it in a, hey, we're trying to make sure people are safe, you're not necessarily implying that other jurisdictions aren't doing that. But it makes it a lot harder to sort of say, oh, well, don't do that anymore, Wade, because of X, Y, and Z. But if you all can show a compelling case, both from the constituent side on just how much of a hardship this is, but also from an industry side, say, hey, we have plenty of business in other jurisdictions where it's a lot easier and a lot faster, and we don't have, solar panels blowing up or causing massive fires. So this sort of safety argument isn't nearly as salient as folks keep saying. It helps make a bigger picture and a better, clearer reason on why we need to change how we're doing this. And more important, like I said before, gives us as elected officials more cover to talk to the right folks and give proper guidance to staff. So it's not just a, hey, staff, go back and look at this and come back with whatever you wanted. Hey, go look at this and bring back a plan per XYZ or per SolSmart or whatever framework you want to look at to how to get this done, so we have a more clear, direct path forward. I know I said a lot, but I just wanted to leave that with you all. My question is, it sounds like Prince William County is sort of I hate to use this word, an aberration of this. How have you all encountered any other localities who have been not necessarily as challenging as Prince William, but have had some similar challenges, and you've been able to work through them with the jurisdiction to make it better? And if you have, how have you gone about that?
Maybe I can react to that, Ben, if you're okay. So I wanted to actually just also repeat some of the points that you said, Supervisor Bodie, because I think they're really important. And if I'm understanding this right, really what is effective are people's stories as constituents directly engaging the board, either through email, but also through in-person attendance of board meetings. And, you know, I don't know if there's a published schedule for board meetings, but that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to address the question of other things as well as safety, and just maybe gloss on that. Perhaps Ray could also, as an installer, share his experience. But I manage a region that is Maryland, Virginia, DC, Florida, and Puerto Rico doesn't have permitting jurisdiction, so we won't count that. But I have never personally encountered any other jurisdiction that we have had as many issues with Prince William. And I'm gonna also emphasize that these things have nothing to do with safety. That to me is a, like, I'll be direct, it's a BS cop-out argument, and you can quote me on that. Because what we're seeing are permits that are kicked back, not based on best practices or issues with structural design, but incorrect bookmarks on an Adobe PDF. And those don't have anything to do with safety. It nationally recognized, and to summarize what Mr. Rush mentioned earlier. So he had a standing seam metal roof, and the most common solution is an S5 clamp, which, you know, standing seam metal roof is like a Wawa gas station, if you know those. The most common design is an S5 clamp. It is deployed throughout my region through almost all the metal roofs that we see. And I remember in his case, they were required an onerous additional study that required them to do this whole analysis of a standard racking solution that really, again, had nothing to do with safety. And I'll also bring up the fact that, why is this? You know, the safety argument is in my view a moot point, but many people are asking, what is it in this permitting county or in this permitting jurisdiction? What is the motivation to do this? Because they're certainly catching, you know, a lot of flack from constituents, from people like us, and it baffles my mind. So I'll stop right there. I'll let Ray speak, and Tiziana also had her hand up, just, and Mark also as well. So.
Yeah, sorry, super quick. I put my question in the chat. I was just wondering about how about inviting this organization to present to the Board of Supervisors, so you can present all your facts and arguments in front of the whole board. Isn't that a possibility? Wouldn't it make more sense, so that they have all the facts instead of trying to get, you know, emails, and you know, it's gonna be more difficult even just to get the attention of the supervisor via email. Even if they have time to read them. I mean, to me, it makes more sense if you just get one presentation with all the facts, and yeah, and then maybe hopefully something comes out of it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, we're certainly going to have a lot of emails, and we would like to actually address the board as a whole and summarize that. But I would like to present personally.
Yeah, my comment was that, she was saying, you know, as a homeowner and as a consumer, sometimes you're only buying solar just once. So you only have one experience with the process. It's not like buying a car where you buy, you know, maybe a car every 10 years and you have multiple cases of what went right, what went wrong. So like in my introduction, I said, I don't know if my process was particularly difficult compared to other processes, or if it was particularly different, particularly easy. So I was hoping that you guys could provide us with more data, so that when we try to engage with our supervisor, my supervisor here in Montclair is Supervisor Bailey. She's very approachable, very easy to work with and talk to. We would have some facts that we could actually present. I mean, one of the things I recently learned from dealing with my solar installer is that for the installers, if you're financing your project, sometimes the financiers will give them the money up front to actually pay for the cost of getting the project started. And then if that project's not installed in a certain amount of time, those financiers will claw back that money. And the installers will be on the hook for paying that back no matter where you stand in your process. And perhaps the installer can that's on the call can talk to that or vouch for that or something like that. But I think there's probably a lot of pain that's happening that all of the people on the call are not aware of, and that we need to be aware of if we're going to engage with our supervisors and our representatives competently.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mark, is that especially for financiers, lenders that work, across the country and are accustomed to Aaron's point earlier, every jurisdiction working kind of in a similar timeline, right? And so when you're getting loans or getting financing for something, they're expecting the installation to begin in a certain period of time, and if it no longer happens, that can mess up your financing, right? And then you've got to kind of start all over. And we've heard stories about that as well. And so it just really throws so many different wrenches into the process, and can be a big challenge. But but yeah, to your point about data, certainly, we have data as Liz tried to present, and I did as well. And we'll certainly be following up, via email and whatnot to share data. I know Aaron wanted to call in Ray. So Ray, were you waiting to say something?
Always, but I try to be concise and brief here because we don't have an unlimited amount of time. Everybody can hear me okay, Ben? I think there's something else going on here, and I appreciate the supervisors being on board. I've been a Prince William County resident for 35, 38 years. It's scary. And this is not a hobby. This is a serious business for me. And I'm probably representative of a lot of other solar installers in the area by saying that, why do this? I have 5 jobs going on in Fairfax County right now. Just as a case in point, I have one job where the homeowner decided to increase the size of the array a little bit more and go to another roof mounting plane section, 3 instead of 2. Okay, the right thing to do is to resubmit to Fairfax County and get that approved. And we did, and we had to do another PE study, professional engineer study, which was $15 and came through in a day. Submitted to Fairfax County, and in about 3 or 4 days, it's approved, and we're marching forward. That is not the experience here in Prince William County. I thought that I kind of had a handle every time, and I've been at this for 4 years in Prince William County. Every time I kind of get there and think I know what they want, then I may not have another job coming up for 2 or 3 more months or 6 months, and then maybe it's a different job, like a ground mount. And boy, the information you presented earlier here with regard to cost increases, we know what happened last year with lumber and with wire and with PVC Schedule 40 costs doubled. And I had basically an 8-month delay in the permitting process going through, which radically increased the cost of my wire going out 575 feet to Joe Fox's ground mount, probably the largest in Virginia. It's 30 kW. This is the one that Aaron was referencing earlier. $1,100 in county permitting costs, $2,200 for a soil analysis study. You look at the soil analysis for the state of Virginia or the county of Prince William County, it's been studied enormously. There's hardly, and then we get into classifications. I won't get into detail there, but it seems that every time I think I have them figured out and have a good dialogue with Brian Byrne, it changes. And the latest hiccup has been on the electrical side. I mean, getting through the intake process is a challenge, but getting past that, I'm shocked that I'm getting scrutinized on the electrical side for really, really minor things. On the diagram, are you actually changing something with the grounding? I mean, come on. We're going line side tap, or we're going to a breaker. And we know what the size of the panel is. We know about the 20% bus bar requirements. you know, poor Eric is on the call here, Olmsted, and I only had 3 minor things to respond to there. So hopefully within the next few days that will get approved. But I have 2 other projects that were similar submissions. And bang, I come back with 2 pages of corrections requests. Very simple things, lots of things that are going in deep into the electrical code and saying, hey, are you really getting, and it's obvious he didn't read and look at my permit, because I say I have 2 inverters. They're both wired this way. One's coming into one electrical panel, one's coming into the other electrical panel. It's simple English. I mean, the supervisor's on the call. You got to give us credit. I am the Alternative Energy Systems contractor license holder for this company. I mean, that is not an easy process to go through. I don't know what the electrical reviewer, Hugo Fleischman is his name. I don't know what his credentials are. Is he an electrician? Is he a master electrician? Is he a journeyman? What kind of credentials do they have? Do these guys, I see the inspectors from Fairfax County, Loudoun County, and Prince William. Boy, Prince William guys all point to each other too, and I won't tell you what they call each other, which is crazy. But really, I mean, this is not rocket science, and we have serious master electricians involved here that know their trade, that know their work. They want to do things right. They don't want to, God forbid, we don't want to ever have something that's going to cause a fire and cause people to get hurt or anything like that. Like Aaron says, this is not safe. This is getting into where is the ore mined for the standing seam roof? How are these things clamped on there? Is it a Firestone? There's 6 different manufacturers of roof. My partner is a roofing contractor for 42 years. He knows his stuff really well. Standing seam roofs. I was asked, how do you know that this was a Firestone roof? Well, my roofer is a roofer, but also the homeowner showed me and gave. I had to go with the correct. We went back and forth 3 times. So one of the things, and I'll be brief, is that I thought, okay, from now on we'll do PE studies. Okay, that'll solve the problem. No. Brian Byrne goes back and he will scrutinize the PE study to the point where Solar Roof Check is a major California company that does PE studies for everybody in the country. I've done dozens, hundreds of jobs with them now. And they, quite shockingly, surprised me by saying, we won't work in Prince William County anymore because we're getting scrutinized. I had
Hey, Ray.
Ray, I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you here for a sec. We've also had issues with solar foundations. I think we could do a whole call on.
We'll need to continue this over beer. I know we just have a couple minutes left. I do want to.
Thanks, so Rick.
But I think it's gone to the point of really getting now. I'm getting scrutinized, and I take it as a personal challenge because I think there's something else going on here. I think there's collusion, or it's maybe criminal for that matter. I'm just trying to cooperate and work with them and know I'm an engineer and know what needs to be done here. But I can't find that middle ground. It is really that challenging. At least Eric Olmsted only had 3 minor complaints. This poor guy, has got a dozen.
All right, we're gonna have to leave it there. But I do want to give Wayne and Kevin, I know they joined later, give them a quick chance to introduce themselves before we kind of move to next steps and wrap up. Wayne and Kevin, or I guess Wayne first, just really quick, where you're from and if you've had a solar permitting experience with Prince William County.
Hey, how you doing, guys? No, I'm just new to the organization and I'm just trying to learn about solar and the different ins and outs. I'm in Prince William County, been here probably about 2 years now, but I'm just new. I'm just listening in.
Sounds great. Thanks for joining. And Kevin.
Hey guys, sorry, couldn't join until now. No, I'm actually just in listen mode now. And I'm very excited to see that, that this is something that people are focusing on. I'm with Solar Energy World. We do installations in a dozen or more jurisdictions in the area. And certainly, getting permits pushed through and timely installations is a goal of ours. And so this is one of the jurisdictions where we'd like to see that sped up. So whatever we can do to help.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
So I know we just have a couple minutes left. And again,
Ben, you went on mute.
Sorry, yeah. Just a couple minutes left. Thank you for joining. We do have an action alert that Liz is going to be sharing that will drop into the chat. And that will be for emails to the Board of Supervisors. I think as Tiziana mentioned, getting on an agenda, Supervisor Bodie, I don't know what's the process, if there is a process to get, this issue onto an agenda of the in 2023 at some point. Is there a public way to get on the agenda aside from just public comment? And obviously, it sounds like, regardless of that, we should for a presentation from Aaron or something like that. But regardless of that, we should do public comment. A drip campaign potentially at 1 or 2 people at a few meetings in the new year. And so, I don't know if it's possible to get on agenda, how we would do something like that. But as Liz shared in the chat, there is first step is a kind of an email advocacy campaign, and then we'll be reaching out to everybody with plans to kind of get in front of the board in person, hopefully in 2023.
Hey,
Yeah,
Ben,
so,
I'm sorry, this is
Go
Adam,
on.
Supervisor Bodie's office. I just wanted to jump in and say I can give my contact information in the chat, and we can talk about trying to take that next step forward on what we need to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Adam. So yeah, no, Adam, like he said, he works for my office. He's our constituent service specialist. Please feel free to reach out to him. But yeah, in terms of getting on the agenda, that is definitely something that would be better worked through Chair Wheeler. Part of being the authority of and the duties of the chair is working with the county staff to see what gets on each agenda for each meeting. Earlier, there was a question about the schedule of meetings for 2023. There's a very loose one that's for our first couple meetings in January, just to get them on the calendar. But one of our very first meetings of the year is us approving the agenda schedule for the entire year. So we will be doing that, on our first meeting in January, and then we'll be able to make sure that you all get that, so we can sort of coordinate, and you'll be able to talk to the chair about the possibility of getting in on an agenda for one of our meetings.
Great, appreciate that. And yeah, as we mentioned, we're also in touch with Chairwoman Wheeler and owe her a response. So hopefully we'll continue to work on that this month and then into the new year. So again, encourage folks to take the action that Liz put in the chat. We will also follow up with that via email to all of you. Again, really appreciate everyone taking the time, especially Supervisor Bodie. We know you took time out of your evening, and really everybody, especially Mark and other folks with kids running around the background. We know you could be doing something other than spending your time with us on a Monday. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you taking the hour, and we'll follow up via email for next steps.
Thank you.